Welcome back to another edition of Haas Talks, and it's the long-awaited episode that everybody's been telling me, Haas, you need to have Cole Roberts on the show. Cole Roberts has finally fit me into his busy schedule. Cole, welcome to Haas Talks.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Maybe we can clear the air on some stuff that everybody thinks about me.
Well, heck, you're going to bring it up. Let's go ahead and just dive on in. I mean, you've been around Port City for a long time. You've ran every class that we offer here except for turf tire. And sportsman and maybe masters. But nonetheless, you've ran like all the premier major classes, right? You haven't always been a douchebag, though.
I don't know.
I mean, but so for like most people are probably like, man, that kid's just a little, whenever he turns 18, he's going to get his ass beaten. Oh. For the record, you're like almost 21 now.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and let that out there that whenever anybody's feeling froggy, let's go ahead and jump or whatever you want to
20,
say.
So.
Cole, you've been the hot topic, the villain,
Yeah.
but why? Why do you think that is?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm a pretty emotional guy, more than I'd like to admit sometimes, and I feel like, I mean, I'm sure everybody works hard on their stuff, but I feel like sometimes I'm slaving on my race cars. Like my A-Class stuff, like we went and got that frame from Nathan in February, and I had it done in March, and it was just me. I mean, I wrapped it, put it together, squared everything. Like I slaved on it and worked and went to school. So I feel like I take a lot of pride in my equipment. It's not leaving the house until it's perfect in my eyes. And I feel like I've been put in quite a couple of situations the last 2 years where it's either sacrifice racing position or get my shit tore up. And anytime somebody puts me in a position where I have to do something to keep from getting tore up, it flips some switch in my brain that makes me lose my mind. And I don't know if it's just because the way I do take so much pride in my equipment. I mean, when I roll my trailers out of the car, I want people to walk by and be like, damn, that thing's nice. You know, it's clean. Like we left here last night. Oh, what are you guys doing? I'm going to a car wash. Well, why? We'll just wipe it out. I'm locked in. These things are going to sit here all night. Everybody's going to look at them. They're going to be clean. Everybody's going to know I take pride in my stuff. So, I mean, I feel like the shootout deal with the A-Class qualifier and stuff, I feel like, I mean, I probably overreacted, but on something like that, you know, my emotions tend to get the best of me, just like they have this year. I really don't know. I think it all just kind of comes back to how much pride I take in my stuff, and when you have to flip the bill to, I mean, I'm not paying all my bills on my racing, but I feel like I pay a wealthy chunk, and I feel like when I'm the guy that has to pay for it and put it back together, I don't want my stuff tore up unless it's because I yard sailed it, you know.
Right.
And when people put me in that position, like I feel like I kind of tend to put in, and it might be something I'm doing wrong earlier in the race. Maybe my nose shouldn't have been there, but if there's a hole, my nose is going to be there. You know, just like that deal last week, and we'd have never last to first. We would have never been there if I'd have just lifted every time somebody shut the nose down.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's just the pride I take in my equipment, our program. I want it to be top notch, and the way I see it is if I build the nicest piece possible and I don't win, it's my fault. I messed up somewhere on the wrenches, or if part comes off, I messed up. I mean, we have part failures too, but I feel like we try and limit them as much as I can. I really don't know, honestly. I think everybody needs somebody to pick on at one point in life, though.
So here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like racing has just changed in general to where, like, back in the day, you had rivalries, right? You had those guys that every week they were going out, and you could guarantee if they started in the same heat race that one of them wasn't finishing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Growing up, I've been running A-Class since I was 13, and, like, for the longest time, I ran Outlaw since I was, like, I turned 14 on a Saturday. This was when you still had the 14-year-old. You had to be older than 14 to run Outlaw. And that was 2015 or 16. And if you were running Outlaw, you're a dog. You know what I mean? Like, you are here to win. And I dabbled in it in the A-Class stuff, and then we put an Outlaw car together, and out of the gate we were solid. But what nobody sees before that is, like, I spent 6-8 years watching Frank and Bear and Carrot and Andrews and all these guys just beating on people, just week in and week out. Those three are winning. Pick three classes, those three are winning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the point of domination. You know what I mean? So I think now it's a little different. You don't necessarily have everybody building their own stuff anymore, or having to take a hit in the pocket this week. Like, oh, I'm not going to go. take the girlfriend to dinner, I got to buy tires, or I got to buy a bead lock because I got plugged into the fence this week, you know. So I think that's changed a little bit. But, I mean, I don't know. Everything changes with time, and I think sometimes it doesn't change for the better. I think it's just about how you adapt to it at the end of the day.
So, I mean, you've kind of taken on the role of being the villain, being the bad guy. I mean, is there any truth to it? Do you feel like you're a bad guy? Do you feel like you're the guy that should be, like, the villain? Like, you don't play into it as much as I try to get you to play into it. You don't buy into it.
Right. I mean, I feel like if you like, I just got off the phone with my buddy Brock Barrett. Came over and got a shock from me last night. He's like, I'm horrible. I got to do something. Here, try this. Like, I feel like it really just kind of depends how we start talking. Like, you can call me Monday through Friday, and I'll have a 30-minute conversation with anybody. But, I mean, as far as the villain thing goes, I don't know. For so many years, we saw the same group of guys winning, and then kind of starting last year with the outlaw stuff, it wasn't the same guy winning anymore, and then it was me. And just there was a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of drama, but a little bit of turmoil with how some of them went down. But I really don't know at the end of the day. I mean, I think I'm not a horrible guy. I'm not afraid to piss everybody off.
Yeah.
But
you're not afraid to say what everyone else is thinking.
I mean, it just really.
And that sometimes gets you in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My mouth
sometimes.
Is 98% of our problem when it comes to getting in trouble. And I mean, I try and work on it, but I don't know. Somebody's got to have somebody to hate, and if they don't want to like me, then they can hate me.
Do you feel like you're one of those drivers, you know, we talk about, back in the day there was Flood, and there was Andrews, and there was Sawyer, and there was Bayer, and there was this guy, and that guy, and this guy. Do you feel like you're becoming one of those guys that maybe in like 5 or 10 years they're going to be like, man, I remember whenever I was racing with Roberts and Carroll and, and going on and on. Do you feel like you're like becoming that guy, or do you feel like you're still that underrated, maybe dark horse driver that nobody really thinks about?
You know, I really think it depends on who you ask. I'm a big confidence guy, and I probably have the biggest ego in the pits every week, which sometimes hurts me. So, I mean, if you ask me, I'm just as good as those guys, if not better, half the time. But I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be cool one day to hear people say, I remember racing with Cole, and like last year, we tried to run outlaw, but Cole won everything. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this year I've won just about everything outlaw as well. And, I mean, I've struggled with the A-class and non-wing stuff, but I've always kind of clicked with outlaw. So to just be as, what I want to say, as dominant as we have been is kind of something that I've wanted to see forever. Because when I was growing up, I mean, I started racing junior sprints in like 2008 or 9, so I was 6 or 7. And A-class and non-wing put on a good show, but everybody sat down to watch outlaw. And I can remember nights of watching Bear just beat the fence down like it owed him money, mm-hmm. and would just wax the field. And I'm like, I want to be that guy. It might not be right now. It might be 10 years from now. It might be 15 years from now. But there's going to be a night where somebody else is going to be sitting in the stands that isn't me, watching me do the same thing, and going to say, wow, that's impressive. So, I mean, I don't know. I think if I keep trying at it, I might be grouped with those guys one day. I think if you ask some people, I'm probably grouped with them now here, just because I don't branch out much anymore, just with work and everything going on in life. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. I guess you just kind of have to see where it takes it in a couple of years.
So you talk about that. Where do you see yourself in a couple of years? I know, a couple of years ago you kind of dabbled and did a little bit of traveling. But like you said, school became the focus. A career became the focus, which you just recently graduated. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
I mean, you're like a big boy now. You're an adult. Like, this is the real world. So what's next for Cole Roberts?
Week by week type deal.
Yeah?
I mean, that year we went and traveled, we ran all now 600, and that was kind of before. Like, I mean, now 600 has always been pretty decently sized. But the year I went and ran it wasn't as big as it is now. Now they've got 20 to 30 full-time guys, mm-hmm. And we had like 10 to 12 maybe. But it was like me, Frank, Timms, Randall. So, like, the racing was good. Nobody wanted to go run the races, though. Right. I mean, I had a lot of fun running up and down the road. I think that year I learned more just running all these different places than I have ever. Just because it's kind of like the outlaw stuff. You roll in the pits, okay, that's what we're racing on, figure it out. Mm-hmm. And if you don't figure it out, good luck. You come back again in 4 months. Yeah. Hope you kept notes. But, I don't know. I mean, everybody says I'm a porch sitter, which is fine. They say that about me, too. They say I don't ever get off the porch, but whenever your porch is this nice. Right. there's not another porch in the country I'd want to sit on all year long. So everybody, I mean, all the West Coast guys come out here to Port, and I don't want to say they struggle, but they're not coming in swinging like they would anywhere else. You know, SIR's got some good guys, but SIR is kind of based around the hustle and the Sprague, and I feel like their non-wing competition might be pretty good, but I'm not really sure how their weekly wing stuff is. So I mean, as far as just staying around here goes, I don't think you can beat it.
Like the biggest difference between wing and non-wing, like what is it? Why do you struggle in non-wing?
I really don't know. I've been a wing guy forever, which is weird because, I mean, growing up, all I'd ever really watched was USAC and just the non-wing stuff. My dad worked in Indiana for a year in '07, so non-wing was kind of like hardwired into my brain. And then I really think it has to do with the outlaw deal, because non-wing out, like right now, non-wing outlaw is the craze. Everybody wants to be good in non-wing outlaw. They want to run non-wing outlaw, get rid of the wings. Let's just run non-wing outlaw. But I don't know if it's just because I've had so much success with the wings on compared to without the wings on. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I think I'd rather have wings on top of my head than anything else.
So just a matter of preference and where you've been throughout the whole time. Outside of racing, what is Cole Roberts into? I mean, like, what do you do for fun? I know I see you going to concerts here and there. You go to baseball games, like.
I mean, working, and then I feel like when I'm not working on race cars, I try and like a couple concerts here and there. I'm a big baseball guy. I'm a big hockey guy. I don't really go see much Oilers stuff anymore, just because it kind of got repetitive all the years. The minor league stuff isn't as good as the major leagues, or as the major league stuff. But no, I mean, if it's a Thursday night and I'm bored and I don't got to be at work till 9, yeah, I'll go grab a game or something, or I'll sit on the couch and I'll watch 9 innings of something in LA or San Francisco or New York, you know. But I mean, really, it just kind of revolves around racing, to be honest.
Yeah. How much time do you spend, like, just going back and rewatching your videos, like?
A lot.
I know your grandma like films everything.
Yeah, everything. I kind of bounce throughout the week. Like, my rhythm is, unless like I just did something spectacular, is we get done racing Saturday night, I'll watch it Saturday night before I go to bed. At least one angle of it, and usually it's my grandma's angle or flow. And then like Monday or Tuesday the GoPro rolls out, so I'll watch that probably 10 to 15 times a week just to try and figure out what I did that was good and what I did that was bad. But if we're racing Friday, once that Friday hits, I don't really care about it anymore because we've already raced that race. That day's over. I got to do something different now. But, I mean, I watch it pretty religiously.
So you see all these big micro guys, all these, like, major teams and everything, multiple cars, and there's so many now development deals. And, I mean, you got Frank Lucia doing something, Frank Flood doing something, Keith Coons doing something. The bars up in Indiana, they have a little development deal going on. Rumor has it Ruschenberg's starting a little development deal for next season. Do you ever see yourself as, like, being a coach or a driver development guy, like helping out a younger driver?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think it'd be cool. It's a good way to give back to the sport, and it's a good way to make sure that the sport stays running. But somebody asked me last night, we ran the A-class heat or something. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, just go through the holes. Well, what do you mean? Just run through them. Well, it just gets upset. Just run through them. And nobody wants to hear you say that. You know what I mean? Like, if you tell them the truth, they're not always going to like it. And I feel like if you're in a coach situation, sometimes you might have to sugarcoat things, and I'm not too great at that these days.
You have to be more conservative.
Yeah,
as far as like,
and like my deal is I've been that mid-pack car. Like, there was 3 or 4 years in A-class where I got my ass kicked week in and week out, and I could not figure it out. Just beaten to the ground, come back next week, beaten to the ground, come back next week, beaten to the ground. And I don't think I ever want to go down that road again, just because, I mean, like, there were times where I'm like, I'm done. Like, this is no fun. I can't figure it out. This isn't for me. Pick up some golf clubs. And I know, like, kind of what that felt like, and I don't think I want to be side by side with a kid and watch him go through the same thing when he's still trying to figure it out. So I think something like that probably just be best if I stay out of it.
So how did you get started in racing? Like, is it a long legacy of Roberts down the train path that, you know, blazed the trail for young Rocket, the little Rocket Cole Roberts?
Yeah, kind of. My grandfather, James Roberts, married into the Sewell family, which, I mean, I assume everybody around Tulsa has heard the last name. How they were racing with Howie Sewell. This was back in before I was even a thought or a twinkle in anybody's eye. Running like all the old Tulsa Speedway, Oklahoma City, Lawton, the fairgrounds, all that stuff. I want to say they did that for probably like 20, 30 years. My dad started racing quads sometime, must have been early 2000 or like late 90s. So I came around in 02, born. And
dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You're born in 2002. I'm graduating high school.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Holy crap.
You know, and I think I was like 3 or 4 and got me this like little PW50 quad just to give me something to do because I wanted to race, I guess. Wanted to race. And say I was 4, well, you had to be 5 to race. So we had like this like, I don't want to say forged birth certificate, but like there were some number editings in there to get me to race until I did turn old enough. And then we kind of just wrote it out with the quads deal because everybody thought I was a year older.
And before anyone goes to judging on, they've been cheating all their lives. Yeah. Everybody did that,
yeah,
man.
Everybody
like, come on,
it.
Really? You can't call this kid out for doing it because everyone else already done it.
If you want to get on a 3 or 4 year old, you go right ahead.
Yeah.
That's up to you.
Whatever.
But I mean, we ran quads for only like 3 or 4 years. My mom wasn't a fan of them. Wanted a cage around me. Got in a junior sprint, and I remember it was like a 2000 Kidwell or something like that. 02 Kidwell. Like it was almost as old as me. Ladder junior sprint, something that like that wasn't really the norm out here because we had already went through the left side motors, panhards, kind of like the intruders were hot when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were in an intruder, you were fast. Jack and them had them figured out. Like I remember for the longest time, like I was one of 2 Kidwells in the field every week. And then we got into the Factor 1 deal. My dad dated Pete's daughter at one point, which built a good relationship with Jimbo and Pete and Sherry and all them. And because Factor 1 they weren't building junior sprints or something. And then me and I want to say Blake Battles got into junior sprints. Build a car. We'll work on it. Build a car. And I think Blake had the first one and I had the second or third one. And then I just rode with Factor 1 for ever until, last year. And then still kind of rode with him last year. And, now that I've switched all my stuff to Benson's cars, I still have a relationship with him, but it's just a different turn I had to take. But no, I think my family's been racing for a long time. You've got Andy and Alex Sewell, Jared Sewell, Evan, Wade Sewell. Like, there's so many Sewells running around.
Mm-hmm.
It'd take all day for me to explain the family tree. But no, I'd say they've probably been racing longer than I've even been alive.
Yeah.
So, there's a solid path through the state of Oklahoma with some way that I'm tied to it family-wise.
That's cool. When we think about rewinding to last week, whenever you kind of did something that no one's done in a while, walk me through this process because – honestly, like I didn't have my radio on. I'm not paying any attention. I just see you stopped on the front stretch, right?
Right.
So then I start paying attention to the tower next to me, and they're like, oh, he was late to staging, so him and Silva both have to go to the back. And I'm like, this should be interesting. I kind of watch you throughout the race, right? You weren't really where I'm watching.
Right.
Till about 5 to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
bro,
this is pretty good. So just walk me through your thought process, minus all the cuss words, because I don't have a bleeper set up.
Right. No, you're good. I got into staging, and there were 17 laps to go in the junior sprint feature. So, usually I race with my dad, my girlfriend, and my buddy Ethan, and my buddy Alex. My dad's out of town last weekend with my brothers. So, usually I'll only just run one class. 2 is a little too much tackle. Ethan talked to me, let's run non-wing. We'll get it good. We'll be fine. We'll get it close. I was like, okay, we'll run it. Well, I was horrible in the heat race. I went quick time and non-wing was horrible in the heat race. And I was like, we run A-class heat, and I went 5-1, and I was like, our A-class stuff's on kill. Okay, let's get it ready for non-wing B. 4th to 4th, you figured you're probably not in the A. So we had the wings off of it. I had the bars adjusted and everything. And I, for some reason, checked my phone to see where I started in the B, and I couldn't find my name. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. We're in the A, I guess. undo everything we just did for the last 20 minutes. So we get all that done, and, I mean, everybody's going to wait till the last second. You know, I want to make every perfect adjustment that I think I can. I got there with 17 to go in junior sprints. They said last call 82 different times, so I just kind of ignored it. Guy that worked staging come over and said, you're going to the back. I expressed my displeasure. I just felt like it was kind of dumb. And then it was, well, it's up to the person in the tower. Well, no, it's up to the guy down there. No, I'm not making the call. It's up to the person in the tower. So I roll out there, and I'm like, I'm going to my spot. I mean, I was second in points after the heat races, and I went fifth quick, and I had one of the strongest groups of the week last week. I was like, I'm starting fourth. I probably can win this deal, and I'm not going to lose it because I have to start DFL. Roll out there. Jason comes over the radio. You were late. You got to go to the back. So I'm like, okay. Well, what am I going to do? Pull off and just not race it?
Right.
And I remember we ripped a lap, and I was like, this is dumb. I don't even know why I'm still out here. Like 2 laps in, we get a red, and I'm like, okay, relax or figure something out. You got to do something. You got to go forward. And I think that was like, we only had 1 or 2 yellows.
Yeah.
And I was like, you just got to go. Yeah, I just start passing cars and don't stop until the checkered comes out. And I got to tearing through the field, and I try to keep track of where I'm at, but on those long runs, and when you're never next to the same guy for more than 2 laps like I was last week, I lost count. And I'm like, man, I've got to be close. And I caught Connor and Brody for the lead, which at the time I didn't know it was for the lead. And I'd kind of kept note of, like, I spent on an average of 2 laps with one car. Every 2 laps I'd pick somebody off. And I caught those 2, and we were on like 2.5 laps, and I'm like, I'm losing time. Like this, I know we're up to the front, but we're out of time. I messed this up. And I clear Brody and Connor, and I'm like, okay, who's next? Where's the leader? I know we've got to be somewhere close. And I looked up, and it's a guy I raced like 20 laps ago, and I'm like, wait, what? And like, come down the front straightaway, I look at the board, and I'm like, 3's on top. Oh, that means we're leading. Oh, we went last to first in this deal. Okay, keep doing what you've been doing. You're fine. You only got 3 to go. I mean, it was just a pretty surreal deal. I don't think I could do it again. It was just kind of one of those go where they're not, which has been my dad and my grandpa hardwired into my head. You can't pass anybody if you're following them. And when both lanes are clogged, sometimes you got to go through the middle, because nobody wants to go through the middle. So I mean, I figure if I can get the car good enough to go where nobody else is, and I know I'll never have any traffic in my lane, we'll be the fastest car on the racetrack. But yeah, no, it was a pretty surreal deal. I don't think I could do it again.
You've been able to win some pretty premier races here at Port City. What would it mean to win the Pete Frazier?
A ton. Like I said earlier, my dad dated Pete's daughter for a little while before I was around. Without Jimbo and Sherry McDougal, I probably would not still be racing today. I'd say Pete's probably the reason we kind of got stuck in the micro deals, just because my dad had that relationship with him. And of the memorial races, this is the only one I haven't won in anything. I've won prelims and restrictor at this race, and that was about it. We were good last year, and I only ran Outlaw because I felt like my A-class program wasn't really good enough to mess with. And I figured if I solely focused on Outlaw, we'll be fine. And I end up running like 3rd or 4th or something. But no, I mean, it would mean a ton. I've always said this is the one I want. This is the one I wait all year for. I'd take this over Shootout. I don't know. I think we got a lot of work to do after last night. I'm not saying we were horrible, but I was horrible, and I wasn't comfortable, and if I'm not comfortable, we're in trouble. But no, I mean, it'd mean a ton. If I could find my way. I mean, I only got 4 cars to pass in both of them, but those 4 cars can take a while to get by, so I think I just kind of got to play my cards right, and we'll be fine.
In closing, like, we joke and we talk about this whole villain thing, and we kind of laugh it off. A lot of people take it, like, serious and to heart and everything else. As a closing statement, is there, like, I don't know, anything you want to say, like, directly to those people that are taking it, that are just taking it to heart and not realizing that it's called passion. It's just your way of showing your passion is a little bit different maybe than somebody else's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. everybody's got who they love to see win, and everybody's got who they hate to see win. I've got who I hate to see win. I've got who I like to see win. You know, if I'm not in that race and one of my friends win, I'm pumped. You know, I guess if I'm gonna be the one they want to hate, then that's fine. But I mean, I know there's a couple out there that like me, and I feel like the crowd's pretty split. But the ones that I've noticed, the ones that do like me are they're vocal about it. You know, they'll text me during the week. I feel like they're kind of in my corner type of deal. You know, but I don't know. I mean, come talk to me if you don't like me. Maybe we can fix it. I'll sell you a shirt at the end of the night or something.
There we go. Any piece of advice to a younger kid coming up through the ranks?
Stand on it.
Stand on it.
A lot of people, you're going to hear a lot of things along the way. Some things you probably won't like to hear. You're going to hear that you can't race for a living, and maybe you can't now. I remember when I got told it, I was young, and luckily it sat in pretty well. So I feel like I didn't get crushed when it was time for me to grow up and it wasn't a path that included racing. There ain't nothing wrong with being a hobby racer. You don't have to make a living out of it. Go make a living doing something else and come have fun with this on the weekend.
There you go. There ain't nothing wrong with being a hobby racer. It's Cole Roberts right here on Haas Talks.
Performance Electronics, custom electronic solutions. From design to manufacturing, let us put your ideas in motion and become your company's full-service electronics manufacturing experts. Performance Electronics.